Wellness, we believe confidence isn't just how you look, it's how you feel. From subtle, natural aesthetics to personalized wellness care, everything we do is intentional. This is beauty with purpose. At Vibe Men's Health, we take that same approach. We focus on what matters most: strength, energy, and performance. Built on real data, real medicine, and real results, we're here to help you look better, feel stronger, and live fully. Come vibe with us today.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 9.
Welcome in here to the Room to Room Weather Center for Mississippi Live Weather at 9. I'm meteorologist Gabe Maynor, and another enjoyable day here in the Magnolia State, but getting a little bit dicey as we wrap up the work week. That's where we track those rain chances. 60% coverage by Friday. Your weekend going to be a bit soggy as well, with 30 and 40% Saturday and Sunday, and then 50% back by Monday with multiple severe weather threats. And yes, that's what we're going to be tracking here in just a moment with our Storm Finder. But looking at those headlines tonight, all of them having to do with the rain chances ahead. A much more active pattern as we get going with the latter part of this week and the weekend as well. One of the things I mentioned at 6 was if you need to get some mowing done, tomorrow might be your golden opportunity ahead of a very soggy pattern. Storm Finder tracks that storm potential throughout your weekend, not just showing us where we expect the storms to happen, but how strong those storms may be. And the weekend will need the umbrella. We're looking at multiple events here in North Mississippi, from the Double Decker Arts Festival to the Super Bulldog Weekend. Heading to either of those locations? I know a large part of us are. We're looking at that forecast here in just a moment for Mississippi Live Weather at 9. But I want to start with the first 12. We're 65 there by 10, and heading overnight, we're going to remain in the upper 50s. But those limited chances of rainfall, very light in that category, so not like what we'll have ahead. But chances are still chances, and we expect a few of those showers to linger around by that morning commute. Not the case in Tupelo right now. We are 68 degrees, dew point in the low 50s. A few stars showing up as well, showing that drier pattern. And a shout out to the folks at Mitchell, Cunningham, and Bowling for sponsoring our view out here in Lee County. A great night to be out here in Tupelo. As we jump west towards Batesville, 63 degrees, and another active city out there in Panola County, and dew point still in the low 50s. That's going to help prevent us from getting too cool this evening, a sign of that moisture returning. And we'll talk dew points here in just a moment, because that's going to be a big thing heading into tomorrow with some of those rain chances, but really heading into the weekend for just how strong those storms might be. Greenville, 72 degrees tonight, and another clear and beautiful night sky. Looking ahead to Friday, that's where that level 2 threat remains in place, right along I-55. Actually, this time last night, I was saying that general area is where I would expect a increase over towards North Mississippi. And not only did they extend it into North Mississippi, they upgraded it to that level 2 threat this morning. Still seeing that maintained into our Friday evening, and level 1 for Mississippi, meaning reports are possible, but they will remain more limited, but they are still possible, and that's why we want to track that out using our Storm Finder here in just a moment. Looking ahead to Monday, that's where I would say the possibility of tornadoes is a little bit increased, and that's definitely a day we have circled on our calendar heading into this 7-day stretch. Our Mama Justice Doppler radar not tracking any of those showers right now. We are dry, currently in clear air mode, and I think the big thing that we're watching tonight with those rain chances there is, do those dew points climb a little bit? Because we're in a very dry pattern, so whenever we get those rain chances in some of our models that show up, and we'll track this on our Futurecast here in just a moment, but looking at some of those rain chances in our models, if those dew points don't climb enough, a lot of that does remain more elevated and not reaching the surface, and thus we're going to stay dry once again into our Thursday. But we'll look at that and track that out county by county here in just a moment, but we could very well be looking at a picture similar to what we've had today. Dry across North Mississippi, not a single drop. We have to jump further towards the south and west to get some of those impactful rain chances. Those scattered chances primarily sticking around eastern Texas and western Louisiana, but a few showers trying to trickle their way into southern Mississippi. Either way, not seeing a ton of that here in the North Mississippi area. So overall, not tracking much, and those showers are dissipating out into those overnight hours. But we're looking ahead to that next system, along with this dry line out ahead, giving those folks a severe weather threat. But our threat lies with this cold front moving further towards the south and east and by Friday will reach us here in North Mississippi, giving us those elevated chances of not just showers and thunderstorms, but perhaps a few strong storms as well. Futurecast going to time that out overnight, and you will see some of those greens pop up in a limited capacity into those overnight hours and into the start of our Thursday. Again, not going to be much, but where those clouds do form, that's where the potential of a shower is not impossible. So as we look at the latest run of the HRRR model, not showing as much rainfall as what it was talking about earlier. So factoring in those dew points and thus lowering those percentages. So I'll adjust that during the break. But that's a great welcome sight if you do have any of those morning plans to get outside, and definitely going to be a good looking day, all things considered, and staying mostly dry throughout our Thursday as well. So looking at the next 24, we're going to see some of those chances linger. I don't think it's impossible to get a sprinkle, especially getting into those afternoon plans. But looking at those temperatures, we're going to be mild to start due to that moisture lingering around, and into the low 80s by the afternoon. But rain chances on our Thursday, far from severe limits. Do not get me wrong. We will not hear a rumble of thunder, and if we do, might be one or two. So we're not getting a ton of action here in North Mississippi, thankfully. But by Friday, things do start to change. That's what we're looking at here in the next 60 seconds is Storm Finder, telling you that storm potential for our Friday, for our weekend, and into Monday as well, as multiple severe weather threats are here and a soggy weekend is ahead. All of that coming up on Mississippi Live Weather at 9 as we continue right after the break.
Every legend starts somewhere.
Not with perfection, but with a decision.
The decision to show up, work harder, and believe this place can change everything.
At Northeast, you're more than just a number.
We're built on opportunity, and our students are willing to rise to the occasion.
Here, success isn't handed to you, it's earned.
You don't just leave with a degree, you leave as a legend.
Room to Room's birthday party is going on now. Come celebrate 23 years with us. Up to 70% off store-wide discounts. Free gifts for everyone. Plus, we pay your sales tax. It's a celebration you don't want to miss, only at Room to Room.
For the first time anywhere, a digital-only weather source has been nominated for not one, but 2 Emmy Awards. This is the 25th nomination I've been humbled to receive over the years, and while accolades are great, we're just proud to deliver the weather coverage that you deserve. Thank you, North Mississippi, for supporting us here at Mississippi Live.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
We've been talking about that active stretch ahead, and as you can see, Thursday, the calmest of this next 7-day pattern, so enjoy it, all things considered. But by Friday, Saturday, Sunday, even into Monday, that's where we're not only tracking showers and thunderstorms, but again, a few strong storms are possible for your Friday, for your Monday, and I don't think it's impossible for your Saturday and Sunday as well, making for some more dicey conditions for the Super Bulldog weekend and for the Double Decker Arts Festival. Again, 2 forecasts we'll look at here in just a moment. But first, let's look at Storm Finder, a Mississippi Live exclusive, walking you through that storm potential over the next several days. And we're actually going to start on a more zoomed out view because this is where the activity will all pick up. That cold front working through the Midwest, giving a few strong thunderstorms for folks out there as well. But getting into Friday, that front starts to progress into Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and starts to extend more towards the south and east. Once it enters into North Mississippi, it'll be by the afternoon hours. So one of the things I was talking to my wife about is we're trying to get that last mow in before Cruz is here. And she was saying, well, perhaps Friday morning. And I think Friday morning will be dry enough to get some of those outdoor plans done. But by Friday afternoon, that's where things really start to pick up in intensity as those storms do move in, and along with a few strong storms at that. So one of the things we talked about at 6 was this bowing out segment that begins to move in early afternoon. We actually have to zoom it out to get a view on that lightning strike potential, and we expect constant lightning strikes attached to this setup because we do have some higher storm tops, some more electric systems, and whenever I see this, unfortunately, what I see is sporadic power outages because those lightning strikes, once they get to the surface, striking a power line here and there, well, then we get to have some of those power outages. So that's what I'm seeing as this does move in. On top of the fact, some of those could be on the stronger side. Whenever you get these brighter purples, that's our storm chance, and that shows that we are high on those storm chances, expecting that active pattern to continue into our Friday early afternoon, late afternoon, and even into the early evening. Those reds still showing up by 9 o'clock on our Friday, showing that storms are expected to continue into the late evening as well. But where that threat doesn't end, and something that I put out early this morning was that this is going to be into the overnight hours as we get into our Saturday. Here's a look at midnight. Still seeing those reds pop up, Golden Triangle and further off towards the south. Why I mentioned Golden Triangle? Super Bulldog weekend going on Friday, along with some of those baseball games. So those potentially being impacted by this storm activity as we wrap up our Friday and move into early Saturday morning, perhaps moving that game time up. And same thing for Ole Miss. I don't think it's impossible to move those games up as well to accommodate for some of those early afternoon storms. Getting into our Saturday, those storms continue to linger around, but in a much more limited fashion. So that's why we're not as high on that severe weather potential. I will say, not impossible to get a strong thunderstorm. We're still in a very unstable environment, but definitely a little bit different from our Friday. So throughout our Saturday, still seeing some of those rumbles down there towards Columbus and Macon by noontime, but very isolated, very scattered, not going to be those widespread threats, and that's why we have come down on those percentages compared to what we have on Friday. Continuing into our Saturday night and our Sunday morning, that's where we see more of those storms moving in. The limiting factor with Saturday night into Sunday morning is the fact that we're lacking the daytime heating. So whenever you take that out of the equation, some of that buoyancy, that unstable air goes away, and that's why we're not seeing as much of those reds showing up, meaning our lightning strikes are more limited. It's still going to be there, but more limited, hopefully diminishing our strong storm potential as well. Throughout the afternoon, we will continue to see that thunderstorm activity, and getting into 3-4 o'clock, these start to build a little bit more. But how much do they build here in North Mississippi before they do push off in Alabama? I don't expect them to reach fully into severe limits, but it wouldn't be impossible throughout our Sunday to see some of those strong storms. So looking at our Friday, I apologize, I jumped ahead, that level 2 threat extending across I-55, and that's primarily for that first segment moving into North Mississippi and giving us some of those strong thunderstorms towards Memphis, towards South Haven, even down there towards Clarksdale and Cleveland, seeing some of those as well. But as that moves across, we are still expecting some of those reports to remain in North Mississippi towards Tupelo, towards Starkville, Columbus, Macon, even out there towards Houston as that does extend further towards the east. But we are limited on that potential because we're going further into the evening and overnight hours, so taking out some of that unstable air during the afternoon. So that's why we're under that level 1 threat. Level 1 threat, the difference you need to know, because I know we automatically are drawn to the yellow. This is based off of number of reports. So we're expecting more of a number of reports out there towards Little Rock, Texarkana, Shreveport, Jonesboro. But getting into North Mississippi, we still expect some reports here in the North Mississippi area, but not going to be as many as Little Rock or folks out there in Arkansas. So that's the difference there. It doesn't mean that we're expecting no severe weather compared to what they have in Arkansas, but it means that our reports are supposed to be on a more limited fashion. Getting into our Saturday, I wouldn't be shocked. Again, this is going to be that level 1 threat that's issued getting into the overnight hours and for the start of our Thursday morning. So tune in to meteorologist Maggie McCauley. She'll be tracking the latest on this Saturday threat because they don't put that level 1 threat in place until we get 3 days out, and that 3-day threshold will be tomorrow morning. So I do expect a few counties to be in that level 1 risk area to accommodate for some of those strong storms. And even by Sunday, I do expect that to get into eastern Arkansas, potentially western Mississippi, meaning that some strong storms are still possible. But where we expect that heightened threat is supposed to be out there towards the Midwest on our weekend. Monday, level 2 threat right overhead here in North Mississippi, encompassing all of our counties. And that's where things start to increase in intensity right here in the Magnolia State. What we're expecting Monday is all forms of severe weather are possible. We're still ironing out that forecast. As you may have seen, that level 2 threat looks a little different from this time yesterday. The Storm Prediction Center, as well as us here at Mississippi Live Weather, are making sure things are ironed out and that risk area is issued in the right locations, letting folks know that, hey, the weather is going to be a little bit more active getting into Monday. So prepare accordingly. We're letting you know this well in advance so you can get those preparations in place. Day planner tonight, I know you see percentages and we were just talking severe weather. This is not going to be severe. Honestly, don't expect a rumble of thunder tonight. Honestly, don't expect impactful rainfall. This is going to be some of those light showers that are reestablishing that moisture here in North Mississippi. And that's going to be key getting into our Friday as that more active pattern moves in, because we'll need that moisture to resustain itself. So the HRRR model not going to show as many showers as our strike model was showing, but I don't think it's impossible to get a sprinkle or two towards the start of our Thursday morning. And we see that with those mild temperatures as well, showing that moisture is still in the air. We're 55 Boonville and Red Bay, 56 Tupelo, 58 Eupora, 61 showing up Greenwood, 60 Tunica and South Haven. Our normal's 54. We're above that to start our Thursday. Pick up 57 degrees. We're still in that category of you could wear a long sleeve in the morning commute. I don't usually at the mid-50s, but that's perfectly up to you and no judgment here. Whatever you got to do to stay warm and stay dry as well. Towards the afternoon, 82 degrees by drop-off. Not impossible. I know I've said not impossible a few times, but we are seeing that a few showers do try to linger into the afternoon, but coverage still remains pretty limited. So again, the HRRR model not going to show as much of an active pattern, but we do expect a few sprinkles throughout our Thursday. Getting into those afternoon plans, there's some of those sprinkles that begin to develop. Even our HRRR model showing that here, along with our strike model showing a little bit more activity, comparatively speaking, for our Thursday afternoon plans. But that's all there'll be, a sprinkle. If you look at our scale up here, those lighter greens are on as far left as we could go, meaning that this is not going to be impactful rainfall. And if we're measuring this out, I would say at max 0.02 of an inch. And that might even be pushing it, but we'll be tracking that out by 5 and 6 o'clock this time tomorrow as those showers do try to work through North Mississippi. Temperature-wise, 82 Boonville, New Albany, and Oxford. We're 84 Bruce, Houston, and 83 Amory and Tupelo. 84 showing up Belzona, Kosciuszko, Eupora, and Starkville. So an enjoyable Thursday, and don't have to worry about any of that rain-cooled air because there's not much rain to cool off that air. So we're still going to be warm for our Thursday. And for our game of the week, we'll be live out there for our game of the week. This is going to be in Alcorn Central. As you saw at 6 o'clock, I don't know what our program is doing, but it's saying snow in Glen. I can guarantee you there's no snow in Glen. But looking at that general pattern, this basically tells a story. We're going to see some limited chances stick around, but overall should be a mostly dry pattern with those warm temperatures around the low 80s for that first pitch. Throughout your Thursday night, we are staying mostly dry. Like I mentioned, a few sprinkles not possible, but those even start to fizzle out overnight and into the start of our Friday. Some of that southerly wind building back that moisture once again, and that moisture is going to be key. You know, how much does that increase tomorrow to allow some of those storms to develop? And even this prefrontal showers that develop right here by Friday morning, that's going to be key as well because it's bringing some of that moisture back, and that'll help to verify some of those rain chances and storm chances and strong storm chances by the afternoon. So we need that moisture to be there in order for those storms to form, and hopefully it stays away, but not exactly expecting that to happen. We're 60 Starkville, 61 Water Valley and Grenada, 65 Cleveland, and 66 Clarksdale and Tunica. Our normal, like I mentioned, in the mid-50s, well above that once again for the start of our Friday. So Friday staying a little bit soggy with those rain chances moving in by the mid-morning there. This is not expected to be that severe weather threat, as overall it's just going to be a few light to moderate showers, but getting into the afternoon, this is where a few rumbles are possible right along the Tennessee state line, even down there towards Greenwood, some of those reds showing up, showing some of that thunderstorm activity. Now, one thing the HRRR model is showing compared to the strike model, less activity during the afternoon. So that's having it push in as a later threat. And this is, again, coming in real time at 9 o'clock with you guys. So I'm seeing this for the first time. Chris, I promise you there is no snow. Do not take that from this. But as we look into our Friday, this looks to be a later threat on our HRRR model, comparatively speaking. So that's going to be a limiting factor for that severe weather potential. And if this verifies, I would say this is going to shake out a little bit better than what our strike model was showing earlier. Now, that does not mean we're not going to see strong thunderstorms, but taking out that afternoon heating is a real key part that could be a limiting factor for those chances. So as we get into that 6 o'clock hour, moving right across the river into North Mississippi, and unfortunately that's where data runs out for our HRRR model, but like we saw in Storm Finder a moment ago, expect that activity to continue after dark and into the overnight hours as well. We're 84 Tupelo and Amory on our Friday, but the more important locations, 81 Oxford, 84 Starkville, with rain chances sticking around. That's key to our pattern this weekend because this weekend is going to be very active, not just in the weather department, but also on the ground. And we'll look at those forecasts in a moment. We're expecting 2 to 3 inches across the region, and I do think this is underdoing it. Over this entire 7-day stretch, I would say we're getting to about 4 to 5 inches. So definitely going to be a soggy pattern this weekend. Not shaping up well for Super Bulldog weekend in Starkville. We're 84 Friday, 82 Saturday, and 85 there by Sunday. And you see the icons showing some of that thunderstorm activity. So have the rain gear ready for any of the dog races, for any of the baseball games, for any of those booths that are out in the district. Still should be, as of what I've heard, still going on. Not expecting any rescheduling so far, but I would not be shocked at all if we see Friday's game time moved up to accommodate for some of those rain chances later on into the afternoon and evening. Double Decker Arts Festival also going on in Oxford, going to be a Friday and Saturday event, Friday evening into Saturday. And that does, we are still dealing with some scattered showers and storms even by then. 81 degrees for both Friday and Saturday, so going to be comfortable temperature-wise. Unfortunately, we're just dealing with those thunderstorms. And that will continue Saturday, that will continue Sunday, and that next severe weather threat on your Monday, that's what we're getting data in more and more as we head over this next couple of days, is getting a better grasp on those Monday severe weather chances. But we do expect on Monday, all forms of severe weather will be possible, and how things are shaking up is definitely going to be a more primed area here in North Mississippi for those storms to take place. Friday continues to be the next threat that we are watching with that level 1 and level 2 threat here in North Mississippi. So make sure to have weather call, make sure to have the Mississippi Live Weather app handy to stay updated and stay prepared. I appreciate everyone watching in the chat. I encourage you, if you maybe didn't put a question, you have a question, go ahead and put that in the chat. I'll be happy to answer that coming up tonight at 10. But if you want to join us at 10, we're going over triple threat and talking some of those potential impacts in a little bit more detail. And any questions that you guys have. One thing I want to make the 10 o'clock about is answering your questions, lining up your thinking on these events, and making sure that you have everything ironed out before we get into these potential events as well. And that goes with any rain chances, that goes with any weather stories. So make sure to keep it here for the very latest. But I know we have the 9 o'clock now. That's talking the overall setup in the next several days. But 10 o'clock, that's more interactive. That's a time where you and I get to talk and break down the forecast in a little bit more detail. And I hope that you do join us tonight at 10, because this is definitely a forecast you want to know a few more details about. So coming up tonight at 10, we'll be talking latest on that forecast, but make sure to download that Mississippi Live Weather app. One of the biggest things we talk about here is getting your armor ready, your layers of protection. And those layers of protection come with the Mississippi Live Weather app. They come with weather call, weather radio, all different ways that you can stay prepared. So honestly, there's no excuse when we're talking severe weather, because you have several different ways of getting those alerts. It just takes you getting these apps and these downloads at home. So I encourage you guys to do so. Keeps my family safe, and I know it will yours as well. And speaking of staying informed, 10 o'clock tonight, we're going to be talking all the more details on these rain chances ahead and storm chances as well. So make sure to tune in for the very latest right here in the Room to Room Weather Center, 10 o'clock tonight. And if you do need to head to bed a little bit early, so that way you can wake up bright and early with our meteorologist Maggie McCauley at 6:37 and 7:30 right here in the Room to Room Weather Center. She'll be tracking some of those potential showers in real time, but she'll also be looking ahead to that active pattern this weekend. She does a great job, and I know that she will keep you guys informed on the very latest, as the whole team does here at Mississippi Live Weather. Coming up at 5, 6, 9, and 10 tomorrow, our Game of the Week, Chief Meteorologist Matt Lobhon and our Ethan Foster are going to be live at our Game of the Week, Alcorn Central in Nettleton. Excited to see what they have to say on the matchup, but of course, we have a lot of things to talk about in the weather world as well. All of that coming up tomorrow evening. So full slate, expect to see you guys there, and appreciate you guys supporting us. But 10 o'clock tonight, that's your next opportunity. We will see you there with all your questions and let you guys know what you want to know right here in the Room to Room Weather Center.
Growing up, Gabe was naturally curious. When he began to discover weather, Gabe just didn't want to know what was happening, but he wanted to know why it was happening. Gabe became fascinated with tornadoes, and it impacted his life. He wanted to pursue a career in meteorology. Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.